Hi everyone. I'm getting lots of waves. If I knew how to wave back, I absolutely would wave back. So, jumping in. All right, guys. So tonight's fun because it's the first time I'm going to be speaking about positive productivity. And like I wrote, hi Kyla. Like I wrote in the email and on Instagram, this is a thing. This is my thing. So, gonna backtrack. Sorry, just having some hair issues. Okay, gonna backtrack a tiny bit. Guys, I do really want you to type stuff to me because I want this to be a collaborative event. So, long story short, or long story long, about 15 years ago, I started my business. My business was called So Be Organized, and my theory was like, stressed, ? So be organized. Like, don't be stressed, be organized. Like, if we organize that junk drawer, it's going to spill over, and before you know it, your whole home's going to be organized, and you're going to be so happy, and everything's going to be so good. And I did that with the altruism of a 35-year-old. No one do math. With the altruism of a 35-year-old and of what I thought about life. Like, my issues in my head could get resolved by going to the Container Store, buying stuff, and taking care of that corner of my world, okay? So I wanted to share that, and I was still going to school to get my master's degree. And then something really cool happened, okay? So what happened then was that I started to be invited into people's homes, okay? So I went from being an observer kind of on the outside, seeing people at events, talking to people, to going inside people's homes, going behind closed doors, okay? So the social scientist in me, that's my master's degree from England, is all about social science, was, hi Chaya. Hi, I'm sending you some Miami love to warm you up in Buffalo. So the social scientist in me was like, oh my goodness, I'm getting raw data from inside people's homes. Wow. Okay. So I was getting the story from the inside. And it wasn't the same story as I had gotten from the outside in. Now from the inside out, the story was totally different. All these people whose lives look so together, behind the scenes, we weren't just discussing the shoe closets and how to reorganize the fridge for least spoilage. It was getting real, okay? So I've always got that therapist hat on. And I wasn't pushing it like, oh, let's not organize your closet. That's way too much work. We'll just discuss your problems. That's much easier for me. Can I have some coffee, please? But instead it was coming out organically. And the data scientist in me was like, ooh, let's track this. Now, don't worry. I didn't write things down. I don't have notepads of people's, sob stories. I didn't be like, that's terrible. Can I record that for future? Like, no, but you know how it goes. When somebody opens up their heart to you, you remember what they say. And so I was getting all this inside information. And I still kept on with the organizing, and it was still really interesting to me. And I really did hope that by organizing people's homes, it would organize their heads and things would get easier. But honestly, as I got my second master's degree, as stuff went on in my life, as I was seeing people in my practice, I was seeing that, yes, I'm going to say, hi, Yafi. I'm going to say for about 10% of the population that I worked with, they literally just needed help organizing a closet. Literally, that's all they needed. They had great mental health, super stable. When they said, please come over and help me organize my shoe closet, that's exactly what they meant. However, the other 90%, hi, Racheli. The other 9, I really would wave to everyone if I knew how, just so that you know. So this is the, modern day or the old school version of waving. So basically, like I said, 10% of people, please come organize my closet. That's all they needed. Hi, Dina. But the other 90% really, really needed more therapy in their heads to get their heads organized, and much less actual practical organizing. So I kept kind of having one foot in both fields. Oh, you want therapy? Sure. Oh, you want organizing? Sure. Whatever works. And then this past summer, I was home in England for 6 weeks, and every morning I was oh my gosh, so many people waving. This is so fun. We should do this every night. So hi Devary. It's so good that I can still remember people's names behind their Instagram names. There will be years I will not be able to do that. So every morning I was very blessed to be able to walk across the fields from my parents' home to my aunt's home, and I could just sit down with coffee early in the morning and try and flesh out this baby that was in my head of the synthesis of positive psychology, which I love and worship, and helping people get organized, which you also know I love and worship. How can I make, hi Sivs, how can I make having a streamlined home? Oh, 1 second, Senator Crispy, in your live video. Marsha Sussman's in my live. No, Marsha, I know you well. I think you pressed the wrong button. This is what I would do. How could I, sorry, it's so distracting and so exciting. It's like everyone's in the house and I want to talk to everyone. How could I synthesize this? My favorite parts of positive psychology. All of my mistakes. How can I uplift all of my mistakes? I've learned stuff, right? You don't get to, hi Devarleia. Hi Tahila, I'm so happy you joined. You don't get to be old and wise without being young and foolish. Like what were all these mistakes teaching me? And how about all of Brene Brown's work, who I love? How can we weave in Viktor Frankl? Like my head was exploding, and it wasn't just because I was on my 3rd cup of coffee. How can I do this? So I've slowly outlined a book. Will the book be published? Possibly, probably, maybe. But what I really want to be able to do is discuss the concepts. Okay, now I don't know if anything that I'm going to mention is going to blow anyone away. Okay, very often when I listen to a talk, it's not necessarily something new. It's just a different way of packaging. I don't know if there's anything brand new here. Okay, I don't know anymore. Maybe it's a little bit like, a music composer. Like, is that my tune? Is that their tune? Did I hear it in the supermarket? Like, I don't know. But I'm gonna throw some ideas at you. I'd love some feedback. Like I said, this is the first time I'm like going live with this, talking about it. It hasn't really gone beyond the English country garden. So what are some of the big things? Okay, so what are the things that translate? Okay, so first of all, the overwhelmingly number one item that every woman said to me, apart from that 10%, my 90% of women who I think are my sample for the world, okay? Hi Tiferes, she's joining us from somewhere really cool and exotic. And I hope it's not the middle of the night, Tiferes. If it's the middle of the night, go back to bed. We will send you the recording. So the overwhelmingly number one thing that everyone said to me, okay, I'd come in, I'd be sociable. Once those 7 minutes of being on best behavior would end, people would say to me, right, this is the worst house you've ever been in. And I'd be like, oh my goodness, no way, it's a lovely, lovely house. Like, look how cute those plants are. Look at all your kids' shoes laid up. It's such a lovely vibe. But right, this is, no, not at all. Okay, now I'm happy to lie. I'm happy to lie to any mom to make her feel better. My pleasure, it's my honor, I'm sure it's fine. But I wasn't lying. Why were 90% of the mums that I was working with having such a heavy burden that their house was the worst? Or, by proxy, they were the worst. How did that happen? So going into the world of positive psychology, there's a really cool, okay, so let me introduce positive psychology as the branch of psychology, okay? So I'm sure many of you have heard of the book Man's Search for Meaning, written by Viktor Frankl, who, for the Lubavitchers on the call, the Rebbe pushed to publish this book. Dr. Viktor Frankl didn't want to publish it. So the Rebbe pushed him to publish this book. And basically, it's a wellness-based psychology. It's not based on all of your issues. It's about your strengths. How can we leverage your strengths? Everyone's got strengths. Everyone's got weaknesses. Let's leverage your strengths. So there are some really cool day-to-day tips and tools and tricks that people can do. Will these tips and tools and tricks change people's lives? Listen, I practice on myself all the time. I say my home and my brain is my lab. So is it guaranteed? No, I'll do the tools and the tricks and the tips, and I have those days where I'm just literally saying to myself, you be soft and gentle to yourself. That's actually a British deodorant, which I wore for many years, and I'm so grateful because I'm like, soft and gentle. And there are other days that I'll do all these things and I make a profit. It's a great day. So what are these tips and tricks? Okay. So first thing, and this actually isn't even from the world of positive psychology. This is from the world of social media, where there's been so much discussion about the fact that we are all living our lives in fight or flight. And how do we do that? How do we get out of fight or flight? How do we get out of that stress zone? Why is it that there are some days someone can knock at the door and we like jump because we're in this fight or flight? And adrenaline's fabulous if you're running away from something, but it's not fabulous if you're home alone. So, number one thing, there's all these people joining, and I don't know whose people's names are, but thank you for joining. This is so fun. What's one way to get out of fight or flight? Can anyone comment? Can we interactivize this? I'm having coffee at night, guys. Okay, so the way to get out of fight or flight is to breathe. When we are in fight or flight, imagine ourselves running away from a bear, a lion, a spider, a cockroach. We don't breathe because we're running. So the first thing to do is to breathe. And thank you, Marsha. Absolutely. Breathe. And I used to think breathing was like a 12-minute meditation, and I just can't, okay? Run. So you can do that too. You can run, and then you'll come back and be like, ooh. So there's really simple breathing that's great for people with ADD like me, where you literally, like I teach this to kids, you pretend there's a cookie in your hand, okay? So this is a practical takeaway. For anyone who startles too quickly, it means you're in fight or flight too much. Drink more water, express your feelings, but the easiest one you can do, even easier than drinking water, is to breathe. So pretend you've got a cookie right here, okay? So first you're gonna breathe in and do a yoga breath. Have your belly extend and don't get triggered. Just look away, Breathe in. And then pretend that cookie's there and be like, oh, the cookie's warm. And you're actually going to blow out and cool the cookie. And have your stomach go in. Do that a couple times. You're out of fight or flight. Someone knocks on the door. It's just a knock on the door. A car honks while you're driving. It's just a car honking. And there are some psychologists that say, we can't treat mental health without getting people out of fight or flight. It's not fair. One practical thing. How does that happen in your how? And somebody might be like, well, what does that have to do with organizing your closets? Like, I'm not understanding how breathing is going to help me organize my closet. Okay, if you're part of that 90% that is hanging on to reality with like two heads, just like, help me get through this day, you are also going to be absolutely judging yourself. You're absolutely going to think that your home, your life, your parenting, your marriage is the worst. Okay, now this is something that is called a negativity bias. Okay, and that some nice rabbi wrote a book, The Positivity Bias, and really that's very much what positive psychology is all about. It's about catching yourself doing something right. Okay? So if you've taken care of 9 things that day, but you just didn't have time to call the doctor to make the appointment, your brain isn't going to register the 9 things you did right, and probably it wasn't 9 things right, it's probably 29 things right. Your brain is going to remember the one thing you forgot. Now, that's okay. Write it down, do it tomorrow. But what's not okay is the message that we tell ourselves. It kind of goes into imposter syndrome. If I was a good person, I would have. It generally, from what I saw from the mums, I had a lot of women talking to me, a lot. I don't know how many, I'm going to guess 500. So that's a lot of people. I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that. Here's the thing. It's a really, really funny thing, actually. If you don't want to do the breathing for homework, I'll give you another homework that's so good. If you're kind and gentle to yourself and you catch yourself doing things right, you know what's really funny? Forget the kids, forget your husband, forget yourself. You will get more done. You'll get more done because your life and your shoulders and your head and your back and your heart is going to be so much lighter when you're being kind to yourself. Like, what if you were to treat yourself like you treated your best friend? What if your best friend came over, you'd be like, come, sit down, let's make us lunch. If you're home alone, you're like, corn chips. So what if you were to talk to yourself, like think of someone in your life who you adore, who you always catch doing things right, or someone who adores you, who always catches you doing things right. What if you were to speak to yourself like that? Honestly, your productivity is going to soar. Secondly, for any mums who are on the call, can you imagine how your parenting is going to shift when the kids see you just being kind to yourself? Because here's a horrible rule about parenting. I hate this rule, but it really made me up my game. It's not what we say that the children remember. It's what I can't remember this one. It's not what we say, it's what we do. So when we forget stuff and we say stuff, our kids are watching. That's how we teach them. It's not like, kids, it's really important when you forget something to always be kind and gentle. And no kid ever's like, noted, mum, noted for the future. The kids watch how we react. So if you don't want to do the breathing homework, you can do that homework. You can be so kind to yourself. And the irony is, thank you, Shayna. Shayna's one of my very close friends' daughters, so it's good to get good feedback on how my friends are doing as parents. But the bottom line is, we think if we're stricter, we'll get more stuff done. Not true. If you're kinder, you'll get more stuff done. Why? Because it takes a lot of energy to be a Mino. It takes a lot of energy to carry the weight of being an imposter. But when it's light and fluffy, like, if it was simple, I'd be doing it. So that could be another takeaway that's super practical, super practical. Other things that I like to talk about is lowering the bar. I find that I do this myself too. And all of my friends and all the ladies that I worked with, they would set goals for themselves that were like 99 tasks to do. And then what would happen is, they were human. They would get done 19, let's say, on a great day. Negativity bias, they'd remember the 80 they didn't get done, or they'd focus on that. And then what would happen is they'd get into this loop of hopelessness. And this was really interesting, because I'm so excited about their hopelessness, but don't take it that way. But what it is that in positive psychology, Dr. Martin Seligman says that 80% of depression isn't biological depression that needs medicine. It's intense hopelessness, where you just give up because what's the point? And I saw this with the mums I was working with. When they set their bar so high, they just got into hopelessness. I did 19. There's a whole bunch I didn't do. I can't. This is exhausting. I can't. And it was so interesting to see that parallel of 1 second. Don't get stuck in the hopeless zone. Don't do that to yourself, because then when it comes to organizing the shoes for the kids, or the lunches, or the snack systems, or the Sunday systems, all those robust systems that set us free, we've got that lingering hopelessness going on. So the really cool thing to do is to take those tips from positive psychology and be like, hold on, let's lower the bar. okay? Lower the bar. What is one or two things that you can do today, and you'll be so grateful that you did? And it does take mindfulness to be aware. For example, I had this Roomba that broke. I think all Roombas break. Hopelessness. All Roombas break. And I was so upset. I'd spent so much money and Amazon wouldn't give me a refund. And I was like, just call customer service. And they gave me the refund. And I dropped it off at UPS. And I said to myself, if I was 9 out of 10 upset that I couldn't get a refund, when I did get the refund, why aren't I 9 out of 10 happy? I'm like barely scraping 1 out of 10. I'm like, whatever. So the bottom line is, can you do that same thing? Can you lower the bar so low that you can't help but succeed, and then do more stuff? I'm not saying stay home on the couch all day, do one thing a day and be like, sorry kids, no dinner, oh well. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying lower the bar so that you can reach the bar, so that you can say, okay, I returned the vacuum, I'm in a super good mood, now I'm gonna do the next thing on my list, okay? So that way we get rid of that hopelessness loop. You might have a list of 20 things you want to do. You might do one every day, but after a month, you've taken care of it. After a month, you're going to see progress. We don't give up so easily. We don't get in that hopeless zone that is so common in the positive psychology world. Another tip, if you don't want to do the breathing and you don't want to do the other thing that I said that I forgot already, because I'm live and I'm trying to say hi to everyone and see who's joining, getting quite excited over all of this. The other thing that you can do is you can set your timer. So you might say to yourself, my freezer is the worst. Good job, Sylvia. One thing in a day is a win. Absolutely. Absolutely. Doroleia, you're my life role model. You are, yes, you are everything. What you can do also is, let's say your freezer is hideous. Okay, my freezer was so hideous until I got my freezer together, but it was hideous. So what you can say that's so cool is you can say to Siri, actually I'm scared to say it because I'm scared she'll stop the live, but you can set your timer for 10 minutes, okay? Put your phone away, and for 10 minutes, start your freezer, okay? Go through the top shelf, throw things out, move things around, do the second shelf. You'll be so surprised what 10 minutes you can do in 10 minutes. You really, it's really surprising. And that's a great takeaway on lowering the bar, rather than I'm going to spend my entire Sunday cleaning out the freezer. You're not going to want to do that. It's not necessarily sustainable. And why? Why don't you do 10 minutes and be like, I'll do a shelf, or I'll do 10 minutes. And then you'll be like, oh my goodness, I did that. And what that does is that builds hope. So many of us need hope infusions. We need constant hope infusions because we get depleted so quickly. You know how people say, like, so many people are vitamin D deficient? We need hope infusions. And when we do that thing where we set 99 tasks for the day and we do 9, the disparity is so great, it's so overwhelming, and it fuels that hope deficiency. So instead, write things down early in the morning, or late in the morning, or late in the afternoon. Take a piece of paper, write down a couple of things you did already, put a big check mark next to it, write down a few more things, check them off as you go along. Okay, people think that because we're living in a technological boom area, that we're cool people if we have everything on tech. Sometimes it's so great just to detox out of your brain, write it on a piece of paper, cross it out. That's another way of lowering the bar and having a visual. If you rely on your brain, it's only going to remember, because of the negativity bias, all the things that you didn't do. But let's give your brain facts. Write things down. You're like, oh my goodness, I did do that, but that was at 8 o'clock. Who even remembers that? But give yourself those micro hope infusions. There's so many other things I want to talk about, but I don't want to throw too much at you. I do love, well, you know this, nothing's new about my love of systems, but I love systems that work with us and not against us. Sometimes in our quest to being more organized, more productive, we're like, okay, tell me, just tell me how to do it. It's so important to understand ourselves and create systems and task lists that work with us and don't leave us deficient afterwards and kind of empty. It's a little bit like how everything else nowadays is becoming customized. You know, do this by your blood type, have this by your genome, do this and this. So much of our productivity is personality based, and what's going to really work well for somebody else isn't going to work well for others. But it takes courage and vulnerability, thank you Brene Brown, to reach out and be like, this is not working for me. I set myself these tough deadlines, I make hard stops, you know, kind of use all this fancy corporate world wording. Doesn't work. And I work in the corporate world, I have clients in the corporate world. All that a corporate world is a bunch of people wearing fancy suits. That's all it is. We're still human beings. So, you know, there's a line somewhere, I don't know who wrote it, and I love it. Like, if trying harder doesn't work, try softer. Try it. Try it. You will see that your hope will get replenished when you have that positivity spin and you're like, I cleaned the oven. I have been putting that off for 6 months. I cleaned it. I cleaned the oven. Rightfully, I'm not going to be using my oven for a week because I'm so excited how clean it is, but I cleaned it. And I'm so happy I did something from A to Z. One more thing I would say, thank you, Sylvia, for doing that for me. One more thing I would say is please start to realize or go higher, further on your journey, that your phone is not your friend. If you are not part of the 50% of the population with ADD and you keep your phone near you, you have now officially joined the ranks, okay? Everyone's distracted. You're trying to get things done. There's so much to get done. You're trying with the self-talk, and now 16 people have just texted you. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. You can't live a productive, happy, centered life and remember to breathe if you're constantly got your phone next to you. Be on your phone plenty, but do it as a dessert. At least, you know, it's like brownies. At least recognize they're a dessert. They're not your full course. Recognize your phone is entertainment, okay? Use it as a reward. When I finish this oven, I'm going to go on the phone for half an hour. When I've done 20 minutes of organizing my freezer, I'm going on the phone. Use your phone as a reward, as incentive to get through and support you, rather than something that distracts you. And then we all feel so guilty, like, what have I done? You know what I'm saying? So, which is ironic seeing as you're on the phone. But I hope I'm not a distraction. I hope I am a productivity tool. So that's basically the run through of like just a few of my favorite nuggets. Any questions whatsoever? I could keep going all night. That would be bad for all of you. Anything at all in terms of the positive productivity, new way of thinking, positive psychology spillover into time and space management, lowering the bar, breathing, your phone's not your friend, make tasks into small pieces, put them on a piece of paper. The whole point of all of this kindness, soft and gentle, the whole point of this is to inspire ourselves to have that hope again, that you know what, I'm overwhelmed, but I'm getting stuff done. I'm super busy. I'm going to be extra kind to myself. I don't know anything I've done today. I'm going to sit down and write it down so I can see it with my eyes. I made a mistake. I'm going to be extra kind to myself. It's just a different way of thinking where the tough, hard, I have to change myself to fit into this system. If I'm a good person, I will get 20 tasks done. It doesn't work anymore. I don't know if it ever did. I would venture to say many years ago when we had less to do, perhaps that was the climate then. That ship has sailed. No one's there anymore. Anxiety levels sky high, depression sky high. Positive psychology has such robust data on the whole hope infusion. Just assume that you're hope deficient and do what you can in micro bites to bring more hope back, which is essentially catching yourself doing things right. We have a question. How do you help people around you think this way? well, haha, thank you, Rivka. Boundaries, I forgot that. Boundaries too. So into healthy boundaries. So how do you help people around you think that way? First of all, make sure that you are truly in that zone, in that hope zone, and then you can share. Let's say it's a workspace, okay? So let's say you're running a team. You might say, you know what? We're doing some really big projects right now. Let's make micro goals. Okay, so today, can you come up with 5 micro goals that you'll be so happy if you achieve? Because sometimes if you're working on a big project, it can be very, very overwhelming. Let's lower that bar and let's define the bar. Lower the bar and name it. That can be really good. Honestly, it's like anything else. Practice it yourself. You're going to give off this vibe of serenity. People are going to want to know what you're smoking. You know what I'm saying? It's going to work because that's the positive productivity premise. Is when you do this and your hope is replenished, you will be a more centered, real, integral, authentic person. You will also get more done. It's ironic. Shayna, right. In the workplace, the bar is not created by you. How would you lower the bar if you're given responsibilities? Amazing question. So let's say you've got a certain item from your boss. He or she will tell you what to do. You can break it into 10 smaller points and check them off as you go along. So that he's given you a big job, you've lowered that bar into smaller bites, and every time you complete one, be like, oh, so happy I got that done. Okay. Whew. Okay, next one. It's changing, it's really shifting from big goals and I'm a bad person if I can't achieve them, to micro goals that you can't help but trip over, and to keep encouraging yourself to keep going. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. This was fun. It was scary for me. It was scary. I had to really microdose on Brene Brown for a few days, but I'm so happy that I did. Oh my gosh, Rachel, you're in England. Why are you on? It's 1:30. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you everyone. I'm sorry to the people that just joined. I love my time management people. This will be going out in an email to everyone so that people don't have to join at 1:30 in the morning from England. Marsha, nice to see you. We definitely have to have lunch. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you. Thank you for joining. I will, for the next FaceTime Live, no, this is not FaceTime. This is Instagram Live. I will learn how to wave back. And really thank you everyone for joining. Now, go and do one thing, even if you just plan tomorrow, something soft and gentle for yourself. Really and truly, you will get more done. That is the irony. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you.